The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
There goes that man's jock strap.
Oh my God, did you see that?
America's team? Yeah, right.
Oh, baby, it's a big day in sports.
There's nothing like battling it out with your teammates all season long to go win a championship.
Green Bay's got it this year.
Huge move for them. I think it's going to be a game changer.
We have a lot to talk about this busy week in the sports world. Welcome to the In a League of Their Own podcast.
The In a League of Their Own podcast is brought to you exclusively by YouTube. By Golf Kicks, Screw Your Shoes. By Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast. By Canadips, a CBD pouch crafted and manufactured in Humboldt, California. And by Streamer Loot. Check out the In a League of Their Own merch line today. Welcome to the show. Here are your hosts, Austin and Collin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 111 of In a League of Their Own podcast. And today's interesting sports fact takes us back to 1997, where the most punts in a rookie season ever in the history of the NFL was 111 by Brad Maynard. Shot at Chicago Bear.
111 punts in a season?
Yep. Well, for his rookie season when he was on the Giants, because that's who he got drafted by technically. But yeah, 111 punts in his rookie year.
That's not good.
No.
I don't even know what the average, fuck. I feel like it'd be under 50. Because if you think about it, you punt. Well, I don't know. I guess it depends what spectrum, what kind, some games you probably punt once or twice, and some games you punt 8 times if your offense sucks.
Yeah, according to the internet, average amount of punts usually per year in a 16-game season is around high 60s.
Okay, so yeah, he punted almost double the average.
And the funny thing about that is in 1997, the New York Giants actually ended up finishing first in their division at 10-5. So he punted double almost what punters punt, and their team went 10-5.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Definitely wouldn't have correlated those two statistics together, but
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So that means they probably turn the ball over a lot. Either they're punting or they're getting touchdowns. There's no in between.
Yeah, I want to see how far the two won the Super Bowl
in 97. Well, the Packers won it yeah. Well, it was the 96 season, but it was the Super Bowl was in February of 97. Was that in? So was
being
that
drafted in 1997? Would that be your first season? 1997.
Yeah, it
would
have been the 98 Super Bowl.
Who won 98? The Broncos.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. The Packers went to back-to-back Super Bowls. Yeah, and the Broncos. Yeah, that's right.
So let me check the. Hold on, I did that wrong. Then let me see what the Giants' record was. I'd imagine it'd be bad. Because instead of 97, his rookie year would have been 98, 8-8.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. As always, before we dive into our content for today, in the description link below, you can find all the good stuff, starting with our socials, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, anything outside our podcast window here 3 times a week. Any sports news of the 4 major sports. Usually we're on top of the biggest headlines there. You can find us there. Make sure you give us a follow on those. For our audio episodes, check out Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere associated with Anchor. Really anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, you can probably find us. 5-star ratings help us move up the charts there. Just giving a quick shout out. We've had Our traffic's gone up a little bit on like our audio stuff. So thanks to everybody who's listened to us there. And then as always, our merch down in the description link as well. Streamerloot.co. Sweatshirts, t-shirts, mugs, stickers, all that good stuff. You can find that there. Feel free to rep the podcast, give us a shout out wearing the merch, and we'll be sure to throw you on our socials because we appreciate the love and support from you guys. So yeah, kicking off our Monday episodes per usual, wrapping up our NFL Sunday slate here. Raiders Giants first game here. What were your takeaways from this one?
Raiders laid an egg. I do think shortly after the game, them going and picking up Deshaun Jackson is going to be the missing piece that they needed. Obviously losing Henry Ruggs for who knows how long. Well, since they released him, I guess, indefinitely, but finding somebody to fill his role in that deep threat, I think that's the piece they needed. They came out, laid an egg, and shout out to the Giants. That was a big win for them.
Yeah, I was on the fence this week for kind of like when we do our picks, and I like lean towards the Giants just a little bit for the fact that Raiders lost Ruggs, and then one of their cornerbacks is in a lawsuit for a hit and run with a woman. So you lose your top receiver and one of your top defensive backs. To me, it was just like, oh, you're missing those two pieces going into this game. Giants are like, obviously they're 3-6, so they're not rolling, but they've built some momentum over the last couple weeks. Kadarius Toney, he's been doing well. Devontae Booker, I mean, I've been paying attention to him because I have him on one of my fantasy teams, but he's kind of stepped up to fill that void of Saquon Barkley being out with his ankle injury. So I don't know. Like I said, Giants aren't rolling, but I mean, they have 3 wins on the year. I mean, starting the way that they started the year was 0-3, 0-4. It's like, oh, they're going to be toe-to-toe with the Lions, but again, they've found a way to get 3 wins, one against one of the top teams in the AFC. So yeah, kind of again, that the Raiders were in the driver's seat in the AFC West, and with that loss, that whole division just gets that much closer now.
Yeah, it really does. And then also, then we're going to jump over to the Falcons and the Saints. This is a great game, back and forth, really clean, really fast. The one turnover by the Saints, leaving points out there, losing on an late game field goal. But this is all the Saints, 22 points in the fourth quarter. This would have been a disastrous loss for the Atlanta Falcons if they didn't, get that game-winning kick by Soo Kim Moo or whatever his name is, who's now atop of the NFL with 3 on-the-road game-winning kicks this season.
Yeah. Again, this was a perfect opportunity for the Saints to take the reins in that NFC South, but now the Bucs coming out of their bye week will be back on still on top with their 2 losses. And right now the Falcons, again, staying relevant. I saw if the NFL season ended today, the Falcons would be in the playoffs. They'd be
playing the Packers.
Yeah, they'd be playing the Packers. That's right. So yeah, the Falcons are staying relevant. Again, I feel like the games that I mean, this was almost one of those games, again, a signature Falcons up by 2 or 3 scores and piss it away at the end. They almost do it, but they found a way to hang on this time. If they can start to either keep the gas pedal down and not let these teams come back, or in this case, hang on to win these close games, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not expecting these guys to make a deep playoff run, but this is the right direction to move in if they can stop pissing away games. And again, Matt Ryan, per usual, 300 plus yards, couple TDs. Yeah, run game not existent. I guess I didn't realize how the Falcons had less than 40 yards between 4 guys rushing yesterday, but again, Cordell Patterson, that Swiss Army knife guy. He's pretty much doing it all for that offense right now. But yeah, moving on to the next game here, then kind of a lull to sleep kind of game where we didn't get to see a touchdown on the field. The Jags get their first win in the U.S. of the year, 9-6 odd score over the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, like there isn't a whole lot to talk about the game because literally there wasn't a touchdown given up. But shout out to the Jags.
I was going to say Josh Allen, 2 straight games performing poorly. Only having 20 yards rushing outside of Josh Allen. He had 50 yesterday, so they had 22 rushing yards yesterday against the Jacksonville defense, who's not that good. This Buffalo Bills team, they aren't the wagon that I thought that they were. Whether it's them just laying an egg, this is now 2 games where Josh Allen's play has kind of been questionable. Same with that defense, who's supposed to be top of the league. You got beat by the Chop House Jaguars. Like, that's rough. Where does this team, you got to hope that they can bounce back, but that's wide open in the AFC now outside the Titans.
Yeah. Yeah, and on the AFC side, it's kind of interchanging every week where it's like, this looks like the best team. They lose to some shit team. Now this team's the best team. They lose to some shit team. So it's just back and forth and back and forth. And yeah, once we get to that Titans game from last night, they kind of stepped up into that top echelon, at least for the time being, which makes you think if they hadn't pissed that game away to the Jets, they'd be 2 games ahead of everybody else. But yeah, boring game to watch. I mean, obviously Jacksonville isn't playing for a whole lot, but still, hats off to them for getting their second win on the year.
That's a big win.
Yeah, it is.
Then over to the Brownies and the Bengals. Baker Mayfield lights it up. First game without OBJ, 218 yards, 2 TDs. Burrow, on the other hand, struggles, throws 2 picks, 1 pick six. This Bengals team, now that it's getting cold, we've brought it up before, not the only podcast show to bring that up. Do you think that has an effect on these guys? It seems like it clearly is, now that they've continued to shit. What is that, 3 straight? No, excuse me. They ended up
3 of the last 4.
But they've lost two in a row now.
Yeah.
To the Jets and then now to the Browns getting piss pounded. This team, I think, this Bengals team, just in my eyes, went from top to the bottom in that division.
Yeah, I mean,
and
both
the Browns refound themselves. I feel like it never was working with OBJ in Cleveland in the beginning. They tried to make it work. They tried to whatever. And now that it's just not even a part of the conversation anymore, I feel like it's like the line out of the other guys. I'm a peacock captain. You got to let me fly. Like Baker Mayfield, he can fly now without the noise about OBJ, and he can just do his thing. Them getting back healthy with their running backs. One, Chubb and Dearness Johnson right now, but once they get who's the other guy that they got? Nick Chubb and
Dearness Johnson and Kareem Hunt.
Once he gets back and they get back to that 2-headed monster, well, technically a 3. I don't know. This defense, you never know what you're going to get out of the Browns, and they look good though. Surging around the loss of OBJ.
Yeah, usually the defense keeps them in games no matter what. It's their offense that's kind of trying to keep them in games, and yeah, putting up 41. I mean, no matter who you're playing, is an impressive outing. And yeah, what is that? 8 different receivers got a catch yesterday. So, like you said, Baker Mayfield splitting reps between everybody, getting everybody involved. And then, yeah, on the Bengals side, like you said, 2 weeks ago, they were the top seed in the AFC, top of the AFC North. They are now at the bottom of the AFC North and 9th or 10th best team out of the playoffs now. So, If they continue to skid, like if they fall, they're at 5-4 now. If they fall another week or two in a row, like it's hard to come back from that. Like trying to re like throw everything away, burn everything you've done for the past couple weeks and try to start over fresh in the middle of the season when all these other teams are getting hot. It's hard to get back to your winning ways. So, I mean, they still have a good offense. I mean, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, that connection, I'm sure they'll figure it out. But yeah, at least for the time being, yeah, they kind of slid very fast. Moving on to the next game here, Patriots at the Panthers. Patriots get back above 500, getting the win 24-6. Mac Jones, probably one of his games that he struggled the most this year. But again, that Panthers defense is still good. Their offense is completely ass now. It's their defense that kind of keeps them in games. But yeah, Jones had 139, a touchdown and a pick. Which again, he's a rookie, so take it with a grain of like. But again, like
you still win by 18. I don't think it matters.
For Mac Jones, though, like this has been like one of his lower outings of the year, but it's like you still get the win. So it's like shit. If this is one of your worst outings of the year and you're still winning, like the sky's the limit for this team.
And talking about the Patriots, I think that they've made a statement that they aren't the Patriots of last year. Obviously, Bill spending the $180 million, all guaranteed money this offseason, and taking a quarterback in the first round was them saying, we ain't fucking doing this again. What we did last year with Cam Newton. This team is coming. They still have 2 games yet against the Bills, who are only 1 game ahead of them right now. I don't know. I think this Patriots team can fucking go on a run.
Yeah, so they haven't played the Bills yet. They still have to play them twice down the stretch. And if they can win both, obviously that's huge. But if they can at least take one.
Browns, Falcons, Titans, Bills, Colts, Bills, Jags, Dolphins.
Yeah.
So this weekend there'll be a are you for real matchup against the Browns.
Yeah, and then just a quick note on the Panthers side, as you said multiple times, and I'm kind of starting to get on the same wagon. Sam Darnold, not the dude. 172 yards, 3 picks yesterday. Great to see McCaffrey back on the field. Had 18 total touches for 106 yards, so good to see him back on the field. But again, I don't know. Like I feel like everybody was like, "Oh, McCaffrey's back! Like they got a chance." It's like he had over 100 yards from scrimmage, but yet still like couldn't even keep it. I mean, it was a 3-possession game in the end. So yeah, I don't know. This Panthers team came out the gates hot and started 3-0, and they've been 1-5 since. So yeah, kind of falling back. They're now now they're the bottom of the NFC South. Because the Falcons are 4-4, they're 4-5. So yeah, the Falcons would technically be ahead. They have 1 less loss right now. So yeah, crazy shit.
Yeah, in another talking about crazy shit, Denver going into Jerry World and blowing out the Cowboys, 30-0, and then they let Dak fucking basically get 100 yards at the end of the game. But hey, I don't think anybody expected this Broncos team to have any fight in them, especially after they got rid of their best player and they're paying for it basically. For them to rally, Teddy 2 gloves, 1 touchdown, 250 yards, efficient, didn't turn the ball over. Their running game gashed the Cowboys. Melvin Gordon and Williams going over 200 yards combined. I feel like that was the difference in this game. Dak never got going. The run game never got going. They had a lot of drops. There was a ton of dropped balls that would have went for who knows how many yards, but woulda, coulda, shoulda. Denver Broncos whooped the Cowboys' ass, and this was a good statement win. Cowboys everybody giving them their praise, only having one loss, yada, yada, yada. We've always talked about this on the podcast. Their schedule has been easy, the easiest schedule in the entire league up until week 13. That's when it kind of starts. And they already got two nicks on their record.
Yeah.
Before they are even getting to the hard slate of their schedule coming up. Falcons, Chiefs, Raiders, Saints, Washington Giants, Washington Cards, Eagles. So still seems like such an easy schedule.
There's like 3 or 4 that should be good games, but yeah, still. I have a 17-game schedule.
Falcons should be a good one. You never
Raiders,
know.
maybe.
Raiders, maybe. Giants should be a good one.
Cards.
And then Cardinals. And the Eagles, you never know what you're getting.
Yeah. But still, on a 17-game schedule, what is that? 6, 7 games that are worth watching.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you mentioned, a lot of drop balls. The Cowboys go 0 for 4 on 4th down, and I'm pretty sure 3 of those 4 were those drop balls that would have kept the drive going. And I mean, in the end, 30-16. Oh, they only lost by 2 touchdowns, but the Broncos are just like, take your yards. We just want to get out of here. Keep running the clock. It was one of those things. As you talked about before, how Dak Prescott, obviously, like, he's an NFL quarterback, so he's good, but he looks good because of these late game situations where they're allowing him to get 8 to 15 yards chunk plays down the middle of the field just because the other team's trying to run out the clock because it's a lopsided game. But yeah, kind of a wake-up call for the Cowboys. Again, they were in the driver's seat. I mean, in their division, obviously still leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else, but trying to stay relevant in the NFC and obviously playing for that one bye in the first round that instead of 2, that one, it's that much more valuable to get. Taking a loss and falling to 2 losses there. I mean, there's a lot of 2-loss teams out there in the NFC right now. The Cards are the only 1-loss team at the moment. So if they're able to stay at 1 loss, they're second best team in the NFL right now. But again, in that 6-2, 7-2 mix, they're right there with everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then let's go over to the Vikings-Ravens.
Probably most fun game to watch yesterday.
Yeah, most definitely. Kirk Cousins had himself a day. Only thrown for 187 yards, but he was very efficient. Lamar, 2 picks. Also, 2 terrible calls by the referees where both were turnovers on Lamar, and the one was the horse collar, and then I forgot what the other one was when he only grabbed him like literally on his number on the middle of his back and pulled him down. And it's like, I just love how you have on live television a play that happens like that, and the commentators go, I don't think that's a penalty. Let's go ask the head guy, whatever, what he technically the ruling, blah blah blah. It's anything below the nameplate. Clearly, that was in the middle of his back. That should have not been a penalty. It's like, well, then why the fuck did they give him a 15-yard penalty?
Yeah,
like you're blatantly saying that they literally fucked up, and they're not gonna do anything about it. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like that game was handed to the Ravens. And I mean, they needed to win to stay in that hunt.
Yeah, again, I think the Ravens are actually the Titans are the 1 seed. The Ravens would be the 2 right now, I believe now. Yeah, and then as for the Minnesota Vikings, instead of improving to 4-4, they're 3-5 now. So yeah, they're kind of falling behind in that NFC North. But yeah, this game kind of was for the Vikings to lose, and I've seen a lot of like analysts and just people like of the game on any platform, and even some Vikings fans calling for Mike Zimmer to be fired after pissing away a game 17-3, a couple games losing down the stretch to where the Vikings are a handful of plays away from being right up there with the Packers at the top of the NFC North, but they found a way to lose games down the stretch and just bad judgment, bad play calling to where, I mean, I know every time I see those like top 5 coaches on the hot seat, Mike Zimmer's name is never on there, but you got to start throwing his name in that conversation to where since their run to the NFC Championship 3 years ago, they haven't done jack shit. So
Yeah, either him or whoever's calling the offensive plays needs to go.
yeah,
You can't
I
have
can't remember who
Dalvin
it
Cook
is.
going for 110 yards and you don't have no turnovers and you lose. Like, it's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they just turned to the. I mean, the run game is obviously a big part of that Vikings offense, but like they played the second half as if they were winning by 30.
Yep.
Just trying to like play super soft, super like scared. Like we don't want to turn the ball over. We don't want to throw interceptions. We want to keep the clock going. But obviously, you gotta keep your offense balanced. You gotta take those shots down the field. When you have a guy like Dalvin Cook and he's gashing their defense for 110 yards, they want to play action once in a while. I feel like Kirk Cousins is even as mediocre average as he is. He's one of the best play action quarterbacks when he can get rolling out into space, and he has guys like Thielen, Conklin, and obviously Justin Jefferson to throw to. Like I said, it's just bad play calling. Again, Zimmer's a defensive guy, so he's not coming up with the offensive plays, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it was a fun game to watch, but yeah, obviously good for the Ravens. And then on the Vikings side, again, sliding down that NFC North.
Yeah, then going to another game that was super, super, super boring to watch. Texans, Dolphins. Dolphins win 17-9. Tyrod Taylor, the risk that everybody knew that he would be coming back. 3 picks on the day, 240 yards. Tua doesn't even play. Jacoby Brissett gets the start. 1 touchdown, 2 picks. This game was just not fun to watch at all. Good for the Dolphins, though, to, I guess, get a win and stay relevant with the Jags now, both being 2-7. So, yeah, shout out. But Houston, too bad they don't play Detroit to see who's going to be the worst team in the league.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like, instead of a Super Bowl, they should have, like, the worst 2 teams in the league play each other, and whoever wins gets the number 1 draft, and whoever loses gets the 2nd pick.
Yeah, it'd be fun to watch.
You know, just so you can't just like, oh, we automatically get the number 1 pick next year because we just sucked. Where there's another team that's equally as bad, but they're in a complete different division. Oh, you guys want to fucking play and see who's the worst? Well, whoever actually wins, that's the kicker, gets the first pick, and whoever loses. So you actually have to try to win. You can't just say, fuck it, let's just lose every game.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be. I mean, I feel like I've never heard of that like ever being a thing, but it'd be fun.
Yeah, I've never heard of it either. It just came to me.
Yeah,
It was just like, that'd actually be a really good idea. Because I actually proposed doing that in the NHL a while back. Instead of doing a lottery pick, having the worst, all the teams that make the playoffs in the playoffs, and all the teams that don't make the playoffs have their own playoffs playing for draft pick order. So whoever wins out of the teams that don't make first, and so on and so forth, all the way down the list, so that every team's still kind of relevant and in it and playing and all that sort of stuff. More money just to be made.
yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. When do you have this game played? Because if it's close to Super Bowl time, obviously people are gonna be like, "Why the fuck are we watching the 2 worst teams when we can watch the 2 best teams in football?"
Pro Bowl weekend, the day before the Pro Bowl.
I like that Saturday,
Yeah.
or even that Monday. Have it like be like a Monday night game. So
Yeah.
it's a prime
Prime time
slate.
for the number 1 pick. Draft pick
What's-
championship, what do you call it?
What's NFL's email? We gotta fucking hit these guys up. Hey, we got a good idea for you guys. But yeah, wrap up this game like you said. Not very fun to watch. Right up there with the Bills Jags game. Dolphins get their first week since week 1, and Texans continue their skid. Moving on to the next game here. This one came down to the end as well. Chargers kind of struggling for a while, but they get back in the win column 27-24 on the road in Philly. Herbert kind of got back to his old ways, 356-yard passing, 2 TDs, no picks.
32 for 38.
Yeah, that's hella efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then on the other side, Jalen Hurts, efficient, 11 for 17, but it was weird how the Eagles haven't really touched the run game all year, and then all of a sudden they just load up on it with 22, 49 carries on the day as an offense. Like they literally just flipped it. Usually it's 49 passes, 17 runs. This week, oh, let's go 17 passes, 49 runs. They just completely flipped their offense. I mean, it seemed to kind of work for them. Obviously, they ended up in the loss column, but if they can balance that a little bit better, I mean, obviously at 3-6, Cowboys are running away with it in the division, but if they can kind of again find that middle ground, they might have something going there in Philly.
Yeah, I feel like they're finding their identity and what works for their team, what works for Jalen Hurts. It's kind of a little bit of an experiment, especially moving on from their coach that they had last season and bringing Sirianni in this season. You have a new coach. You're only halfway really through the season, 9 games in out of the 18 weeks. It's like, hey, we're not in it. We're kind of not in it unless the Cowboys really fumble. So let's figure out what's going to work. Let's figure it out. And so that next year, by the time that everything comes back around, that they're full go with what, works for their team. And yeah, I feel like their team loss doesn't come down to their offense. I feel like it comes down to their defense and just facing a great quarterback, a great offense, and not being able to get a stop when they needed one in the game.
Yeah, I was just thinking too, like obviously like you said, it'd be banking on Dallas to kind of shut their season away, which if they continue to play down the stretch like they did yesterday against Denver, I think if I remember correctly, you mentioned that week 18, Eagles Cowboys is the last game of the year for them. So if the Eagles can turn things around, obviously right now as it looks, it's like, oh, that game isn't going to mean anything. But again, if the Eagles can find that middle ground, they could start putting together wins. Cowboys, once they hit those handful of games that are actually going to be tough for them this year. I don't know. I might have to make note of this comment because come January, we might be looking back and being like, oh yeah, this Eagles Cowboys game at the end of the year is going to have a lot riding on it. But again,
we'll see. And a good benchmark for the Eagles as well as they play the Broncos this coming weekend. So they can kind of have a benchmark comparison to where they're at right now with the Cowboys, their division leader. Yeah,
that's very true. Yeah, and then moving on to our later some of our afternoon games here. Our Packers on the road in Kansas City. Kind of another boring game to watch, even though it was slated as the game of the week for Fox. Chiefs get the win 13-7. I mean,
Jordan Love outperforms Patrick Mahomes. Shits the bed, and that's why we lost.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, on the Packers side, obviously Jordan Love is no Aaron Rodgers. So people are like, "Oh, Jordan Love's not the guy. Like we're going to be suck. We're going to suck without Aaron Rodgers." It's like it's the guy's first NFL start at Arrowhead, a really tough place to play. The Kansas City Chiefs defense, you never know what you're going to get.
And you only find out midweek that you're going to be starting.
Exactly.
It's like,
yeah. I mean, there are some balls where it's like, all right, you can set he's behind a little bit, and some it's like, oh shit, that was a good ball. And his one pick was literally a matter of 2 feet, where instead of throwing it back shoulder to Devontae, it was more of a jump ball where Devontae had to go up and basically play DB on that. And it was a hell of a catch by Snead to hang on to that when Adams had a hand on it at one point. This Chiefs team, sure, enjoy your victory Monday, but you guys are still ass, in my opinion. You put up 13 points and you hold. If Rodgers is in, and I said this last night, this game would have been a 2 or 3 score, if not more, the other way.
Even without Rodgers, I feel like I don't understand what LaFleur did going away from A.J. Dillon on the ground, just fucking gashing their team.
Yeah, no kidding.
He just completely stopped giving him the ball, and it's like, do you not see that this is working? Like 5.8 yards a touch. Like, what the fuck, man?
run him every 2 plays, you're getting a first down.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, our defense is capable of holding. Granted, this Chiefs team is Mahomes just doesn't look like he's got that same energy fire this year at all that he's had in years past. And maybe we got to see a glimpse of that. The only time I've seen any energy come out of him was that ceiling first down throw.
Yeah.
Where it was like, finally, like, yes, thank God. But I don't know. Maybe this was the spark. Granted, they played a fucking wounded team in Green Bay without Aaron Rodgers, the reigning MVP, should be MVP this season as well. Yeah, it definitely hurts when you don't have him, but still, I feel like the Packers, this is a win in your books, even though you don't get it on the scoreboard. Huge learning experience for the young guy to step in there, and he outplayed Patrick Mahomes, I feel like.
Yeah, he did. I mean, by yards.
And just watching it, like the eye test.
Yeah.
Mahomes looks like he's regressing, doing things that a rookie that he never was doing before. And it's like Love was doing things that it's like, hey,
Come
rolling
late
out of the
third, early
pocket,
fourth.
some of the throws were right on them. It's like, hey, this guy could be a guy. Keep learning from Aaron. You know?
And how about our boy Kevin King back for the first time? Drops that interception, which could have gave the Packers a chance to go win the game. I don't know. That obviously that
though than normal.
Yeah, but again, there's those 1 or 2 plays every game where it's like either he gives up a touchdown or in that case drops an easy pick where Packers could have got the ball back and went down and won the game. But yeah, like you said, a win in the Packers book. And again, defense is a real deal. So long as the offense can get things going. I mean, heck, if your defense can hold a team consistently to 13 points, you get 2 touchdowns a game and you're winning football games. So, yeah, like you said, even though it's a loss for the Packers, I'm not worried about them whatsoever. Going over to an NFC West showdown, the 8-1 Cardinals. Well, they were 7-1. They moved to 8-1 on the road in San Francisco. They get the win 31-17. I don't know. No, Cardinals are back. Kind of.
Cardinals are a great team, and it doesn't matter. That just goes to show you how good Aaron Rodgers is. Looking at how the Cardinals are still doing what they're doing, pounding teams, and you have a guy without his 3 top wide receivers and he wins a game, and then you take him out and they almost beat the Chiefs with their backup. Like, I don't know. This whole season, I feel like has been a coming down to, we said it yesterday, it's going to come down to Green Bay and the Rams in week battle to see who, I don't know, because I feel like the Rams are going to dethrone the Cardinals. I feel like they're going to beat them this next matchup that they play.
Yeah, because it's at SoFi too. I think the first game was in Arizona when they played, if I remember correctly. Actually, no.
The first game they were in LA.
Okay, so
they're at home December 13th.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that'd be obviously good for the Packers if the Rams can beat the Cardinals and the Packers can beat the Rams, then that helps the Packers obviously. But I mean, the Packers at this point got to bank on the Cardinals to get another loss. Yet they have their head-to-head against them, which is obviously good. But if they end up 1 game ahead of the Packers, it's not going to mean anything come the end of the year for seeding. But yeah, Cardinals are hanging in there.
Think Shanahan's on the hot seat now?
Yeah, I mean, earlier in the year, like
we said it. I know you mentioned it.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
I think it was even earlier than that. I think it was just like week 2 that you brought this up.
Yeah,
that he could potentially, that you saw him potentially being on the hot seat if this whole thing didn't work out. And then I was like, I mean,
Giving him
at
his
the
due
time, it doesn't
diligence.
make
Yeah.
at the time it doesn't make sense, but also at the same time, if he can't get it figured out, you can never rule anything out in the NFL. And here we sit, exactly a little over halfway, and they're 3-5. Jimmy G, I mean, he did do pretty well. His one turnover obviously hurt their team, but it was a lot more than one turnover. It was the reason that they lost the game. And I don't know. Do you think that we hear his name come up as a potential hot seat candidate?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I feel like I was a little early, like I was a week or two early to the hot seat train, but now looking at it again at 3-5, and especially this week, they get George Kittle put back. He pops off for 6 catches and 101 yards. You add that firepower back to your offense, you still come up to 2 scores short in the game. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Cardinals are a great team. It's not like they lost to a shit team and the 49ers are favored by any means. But again, I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to figure out what's going wrong with this team. I mean, Jimmy G still looks decent. Their run game is obviously still lacking a little bit. They're missing their top 2 guys with injuries on the year. They got a really good receiving core, though. Again, Kittle, Ayuk in his second year. Deebo Samuel is up there. Mohamed Sanu has been really quiet. He was really good on the Patriots. He was like one of their top guys on the Patriots. 49ers bring him in, and I feel like they haven't used him a whole lot. So they have 3 or 4 weapons to go to in the pass game. And then obviously their defense. They got all pro guys at every level. So again, like you said, coming back to the main question of Kyle Shanahan being on the hot seat, I mean, obviously being in the NFC West, it's tough. You look like a worse team if you fall behind like this, but you're playing some of the best teams every week, every other week, pretty much. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, at 3-5, they got time to turn things around. But if they end way below 500, I could see. I mean, I don't know if they maybe fire him this year, but it's like, all right, you finished the year 6-11 or 6-12 or 6-11 or whatever it might be. Next year, if you start the year 0-3, 0-4, you're gone. It could be one of those things. So, but we'll see.
Yeah, and then we get to the biggest matchup. Should have been game of the week, of the weekend. Titans Rams last night. Titans handed to the Rams without Derrick Henry. That defense shows that they are for real. That was the first time I've ever seen McVay look like he shit himself on the sidelines. He didn't know what to do. Like, he just looked so confused and so like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
They've got me figured out. It was checkmate early in the game. Glad to see Tannehill and this Titans team continue to roll despite losing their biggest offensive factor. He's like,
he has the pull of the quarterback.
He's the Aaron Rodgers, of that team, worthy. And hey, it was awesome to see that team continue to rally. They beat a very, very, very good team. Rams, Stafford
looked a little bit like his Lions.
I was just about to. You took the words right out of my mouth. He showed glimpses of old Lions moments in that game last night. That's now 2 weeks in a row we've seen the spinorama in your own end zone throw a pick. Carson Wentz and Matt's like, you just put yourself on that same level as Carson Wentz now, Matt Stafford, after being in the MVP conversation, going and doing that. I feel like that kind of showed a little bit there, but Titans are for real. Rams now put themselves chasing instead of being at the top, which them and the Cardinals were for a long time. Yeah.
And I was just thinking about it too, with how Matthew Stafford kind of taking this taking this on the chin and knocking him down a notch or two in the MVP conversation. Obviously, Josh Allen as well, unable to get a touchdown against the Jags defense. He goes down a notch or two. Rodgers, again, I feel like he was kind of on that fence outside looking in. I feel like this help, like obviously missing a game doesn't help, but Packers take the L. He comes back next week against Seattle, torches the Seattle defense. gets a huge win to get them back on the right track. I wouldn't be surprised if you see the sports media. Oh, we got to put Rodgers in the top of that MVP conversation because look at the team without him. Look at the team with him, and that's the definition of MVP. But at the same time, like I mean, and then also Derrick Henry, the one non QB in the MVP conversation. Titans can win without him. Not saying that the Titans are better without him, but they can find a way to win without him at the same time. Packers cannot win without Aaron Rodgers.
And that just goes to show why football is probably the most team sport that there is, because you can't have a case where you have like a Connor McDavid who can skate it through 5 people and score a goal, where you have 1 out of the 11 guys doing the complete wrong thing, and that can completely fuck it up for everybody. So, yeah, it's good to see, good to see that Titans team continue to roll. And then tonight, I know you have the Bears and I got the Steelers. What do you think the score is?
I think it's going to be a tight one. Let me just quickly look at the spread. I'm just curious I'd imagine that the Steelers are going to be favored. Yeah, Pittsburgh by 7 on the road. So with a 3.5 point swing, it's really like a 10-point game that they're expecting the Steelers way. But like you said, oh, never mind. It's at Pittsburgh. I don't know. I mean, obviously as a Packers fan, it's like I like to see the Bears get shit on, but this is kind of a statement game for the Steelers. If they move to 5-3, they're right there. They'd be a notch ahead of the Browns and just a step behind the Ravens in that AFC North. Bears, again, if they can move to 4-5, not playing really for a division title, but they're still just a game back in the wild card race. Obviously going to be a big defensive game. I don't think it's going to be a very high scoring one. I'm going to say Bears 21, Steelers 18 score.
I got Steelers 35, Chicago 17. Actually 28-17.
28-17 sounds good. And 21-18. Yeah. Again, it's going to be a defensive battle. So if you're looking for a high flying offensive game, I mean, any game. So I could be wrong. It could be end up being a high scoring game, but I mean, Bears defense, Steelers defense, nobody's going to really expect either team to drop 40 points. So, yeah, should be a good one tonight.
Yeah, then let's jump right on over into college football. Wisconsin rolls. That was nice to see. Michigan State, however, gets upset by the one and only Purdue.
That is top 5 upset of the year.
Second, and they have now became the first all-time most unranked wins versus top 10 in college history. That was their 17th unranked win versus a top 5 team in school history. So shout out to Purdue. That team's rolling right now. And the most cool thing about their schedule is they got a chance to do it again this weekend against Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's expecting tonight when they do the college football playoff show that Ohio State will now be entered into that top 4 due to Michigan State being out. They could have a chance to do it again back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. There was a lot, like Purdue was obviously the biggest upset of the week, but there's a couple games that were close to being upsets. Again, you mentioned Ohio State. They get spaced late, but they beat Nebraska 26-17. Right till really there's 3-4 minutes left in the fourth. That's where the momentum flipped to Ohio State. Nebraska was right in it. And I mean, Nebraska has taken a lot of good teams to the ropes this year. They just can't find a way to get wins. Cincinnati, they stay perfect on the year. They avoid the upset against Tulsa, 28-20 in a controversial play to end the game. Tulsa running back stretching across the line, loses control of the ball. they would have had a chance to tie the game there if he didn't lose that ball. And another game that was close that shouldn't have been Alabama LSU. Alabama 20, LSU 14.
LSU should have won that game.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as strength of I know, like with the college football committee when they're handing out rankings, strength of win has a lot to play into it. And I mean, Alabama, Cincinnati, Ohio State, three teams in that top 5, not very convincing wins. I guess the last game to mention here, the only ranked versus ranked game, Texas A&M beats Auburn 20-3. Kind of a lopsided game there, but the AP polls came out today, and kind of looking at it, not a whole lot changed. Georgia 1, Cincinnati still 2, Alabama still 3.
Oklahoma's still 4.
Oklahoma still 4. Ohio
Oregon's
State
still 5.
Ohio State was 5. They dropped to 6.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, and then Michigan State falls from 6 to 8.
Are you sure? Because on my thing, Oregon's been 5 for 3 straight weeks.
Let me look at last week.
Unless they just updated it on the computer to where it just shows their current ranking for
week 9, Michigan was 6, Michigan State was 8. So Michigan State stayed. Michigan fell 3 spots. Who did Michigan play?
They beat Indiana.
Yeah, that's right. Who else?
Yeah, they beat Indiana by, I think it was 29-7.
Yeah. And then Oregon was 7 last week, so they moved up 2 spots to 5 then.
Yeah, but that's just the AP poll, which doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Tonight, we should find out.
Yeah, I still, because Cincinnati is definite. They were 6. I could see them falling to 7 or 8 after barely beating Tulsa. Michigan State was 3. They're probably going to be 5 or 6 now, if not farther, after losing to Purdue.
Oh, just kidding. It's every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Yeah, Tuesdays. The AP poll comes out on Mondays, and they do the college football show for the top 4 and first 2 out on Tuesdays. Wake Forest, kind of tough for them. They get their first loss on the year. They were, what were they, 9 or 10? They dropped to 13.
That's fucking wild. This is the new projected top 4. Georgia, Alabama, 1, 2, Oklahoma 3, Ohio State 4, Cincinnati's 5, Oregon 6. Michigan State 7, Michigan 8 or 9, Notre Dame 9, Oklahoma State 10.
How do you put
Wisconsin's up 24
Wisconsin at 24
for the college football playoffs?
And the AP polls they're at 20, so they went up from 21 to 20 with their win.
Yeah, from this, what is it?
I don't know. I feel like that projected, like Wisconsin to drop from 21 to 24. Baylor, I had a couple spots ahead of them, took a loss. Auburn ahead of them took a loss. Wake Forest ahead of them took a loss. Those are all teams that should drop.
But for the college football playoff rankings, we went from 29th to 24th, so we went up 5 spots.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, we'll obviously see tomorrow night, and then on Wednesday's episode, we'll see what that new top 4 looks like. I mean, the biggest change is going to be Michigan State's not going to be in the top 4, so it's going to be a matter of Georgia's still going to be 1.
Are they going to move Oklahoma in? Are they going to put Cincinnati in? Is it going to be Oregon or Ohio State?
Mm-hmm.
Those are your choices.
Yeah, the only 2 givens. Georgia's is still going to be 1. Michigan State is out. The rest of it,
Alabama's
we'll see what happens
because they won.
Yeah. Well, are they going to stay at where's Alabama 2?
3.
Michigan State was 3.
Oh yeah, Alabama was 2 then.
Yeah. So then they probably are going to stay at 2.
They'll stay, which
Yeah.
is deserving because those two teams will play each other for the SEC championship, and then one of them's gonna. I think that's gonna be one of them's gonna get booted out at that point because one's.
Well, if that's Georgia's only loss, I think you got to keep them in. But if that's Alabama's second loss, don't put them in that top 4, especially if there's other perfect teams like. Oh fuck! Like Oklahoma would be the only one worth keeping up there. Cincinnati, even if they stay perfect, I would take a 2-loss Bama over a perfect Cincinnati
and over a perfect Oklahoma too.
Yeah,
because Oklahoma doesn't play anybody, and they almost lost to a couple shit teams.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know,
but ever since they made the quarterback switch, they've seemed pretty good.
Yeah, they have. That's true.
But yeah, that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Then let's switch over to the hardwood. What do you got?
Yeah, a couple injuries to mention here and some people missing time. Cavs will be without Collin Sexton as he has a meniscus tear. I haven't seen a timeline on him being out, but meniscus tears usually are multiple weeks, like couple month kind of things to come back from. But it's early in the year, so he could still come back this year. Celtics, Jaylen Brown out at least a week, 1 to 2 week window for him with his hamstring injury. And 76ers without Joel Embiid as he tests positive for COVID. He will miss a handful of games, one being against our Milwaukee Bucks coming up tonight or tomorrow? Tomorrow, I think. Yeah, tomorrow they play the Bucks. So could be a chance for the Bucks to get back in the win column. And speaking of them, they fall to 4-6 after losing to the Knicks. Or not the Knicks. Who did they play yesterday? Wizards. And again, they have tough sledding. 76ers tomorrow night. Knicks, Hawks, Lakers. 4 of their next 5 games. So if they want to, I mean, they have some statement games if they can get some dubs. But heck, they could fall to 4-9, 4-10 really quickly if they can't stay healthy and kind of figure that out. Yeah, that's all I had for NBA.
I don't really have much. I don't have anything in the NBA.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to really highlight. Again, there's scores to go over, but we're not ones to just sit and rattle off scores for hours. But even though the MLB, we'll switch over here then to the MLB. Even though the MLB season is over, the Gold Glove winners were announced for the year. A record 5 St. Louis players got Gold Gloves this year. First baseman Paul Goldschmidt, second baseman Tommy Edman, third baseman Nolan Arenado, center fielder Harrison Bader, and left fielder Tyler O'Neill, all getting Gold Gloves. Some others to mention, Pittsburgh's Jacob Stallings got it for catcher. Houston's Yuri Gurriel, Carlos Carrera for the Astros at shortstop, Oakland's Matt Chapman at third base. This is getting into the AL league now. Right fielder Joey Gallo going from the Texas Rangers to the Yankees. He gets a second straight Gold Glove. I mean, obviously there's other guys to mention out there, but those are kind of the all-star caliber guys who got Gold Gloves this year. So feel free to go check out the Gold Gloves award winners this year. But yeah, those were the ones kind of worth mentioning.
Sounds good. Then moving over to the ice here. Interesting situation here. Colorado Avalanche, Valeri Nichushkin is facing a doping case back from the 2013 when the Russian Federation was banned from the Olympics during all of the doping cases. Turns out one of his samples was found in the lab. The IIHF reached out last week to his agent, waiting a response, and there's no response yet to be coming forward from him. No suspension or anything would impact his NHL case, as this was an international issue. However, he would be among one of the other however many hundreds of Russian athletes who are banned. for doping. So that's a little interesting twist on the NHL as well this season with all the other things going on. This is another scandal now brought to the NHL coming all the way over from Russia. So pretty interesting. Also, Chicago Blackhawks, following Friday's episode, yard sailed, hot fired, just got rid of head coach, assistant coach, scout team, axed them all. Interim coach Derek King got his debut in the Chicago Blackhawks win in overtime against the Nashville Predators. So that was kind of a rallying moment for the Hawks this season. New coach, everything that their organization's dealt with to get a huge win on the road in Nashville. I feel like that could be a little bit of a turning point for this organization as they can, try to rally off that big win. Other than that, couple scores real quick. As the NHL has been heating up, the Minnesota Wild beat the Islanders yesterday 5-2, putting them atop of the Western Conference Central Division, leading with 16 points. This is the first for the Minnesota Wild in a long time to ever be leading the Central Division. 3-game win streak. And then you take it down to the Pacific Division on the Western side. Oilers, Flames, top of that division, not really looking back. It's going to be exciting when those two teams play Battle of Alberta. Things get hot and heavy there. Then we also, on Friday night, had a showdown between the Florida Panthers, who were 9-0-1 at the time, and the Kerr Hurricanes, who were 9-0. They had a battle, ended up going late into the game. Panthers pull out the win 4-2. Giving the Hurricanes their first loss on the season, remaining the only team in the NHL without a regular season loss. So they're 10-0-1 now. Huge start for Florida as they lost a tough battle against Tampa in the playoffs. I feel like one of those two Florida teams had enough to get it done last season. Them getting edged out, making some moves in the offseason. Now really making a statement as they're 6 points ahead of the Maple Leafs, who are in second behind them right now. So that's pretty huge for them to put some separation this early with all the 82 sports, 82 game sports leagues. You really have a couple bad weeks and that could be enough for your season to be over.
Mhm.
Like you could be done if you go on a 5-6 game shit streak. That could be enough to be done. So them continuing to put it together. Toronto Maple Leafs found new life. They've won 5 in a row after they were under a whole bunch of scrutiny, of their top guys not performing. They've all been stepping it up, performing as of late. Leon Draisaitl now takes the league lead in points with 23 over Connor McDavid at 22. Alex Ovechkin sits third on the list with 18. And Draisaitl also now ties Ovechkin for the league leading goals with 10. So Ovi's still continuing to pot the puck in the net. He hasn't slowed down one bit. And it's fun to watch him out there. He's got one of the biggest smiles. It's just a blast to watch him. Hockey's been really fun this year, even though I'm not a huge fan of some of the new camera angles and all the shit that they're doing with some of the newer stuff. But I feel like it's just part of that learning curve now that it's on primetime television. They got to add the new cameras and do the blah, blah, blah. But so it's a part of the learning curve, I guess, for me as being a hockey fan coming from NHL TV. But it's cool. It's definitely cool. And yeah, I guess no big games either tonight to talk about. Sabres, Caps, Rangers, Panthers, Kings, Leafs. And I'm going to leave it at that. So yeah, that's all I got for hockey.
Sounds good. Yeah. Again, that's pretty much all I had for today too. Just kind of doing a quick. Oh yeah, that's right. That happened in yesterday's game. The Denver Dallas game, their first round pick Pat Surtain suffered a knee injury. Turns out he has a knee sprain and will miss multiple games. So should be a big hit for that Denver Broncos defense. But again, they just lost Von Miller and they played an amazing game against the Cowboys. So yeah, we'll see kind of how they adjust to that. But yeah, that's all I see for kind of breaking news that's come out since we went live here.
Yeah, only other thing I got before I wrap it up here is the Gonzaga Bulldogs are favored for the second straight year to win men's basketball national championship. So,
Yeah, that just got underway, like exhibition games, didn't they, this week?
yeah. So it should be interesting to see how, it's always fun when March Madness gets going.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks everyone for stopping by. We appreciate all the love and support. We've been teasing this for the last week now. We're going to drop this out here. We have been fortunate enough to come in contact with a former Green Bay Packers legend who we will be bringing on the podcast at some point. Not going to name drop until Wednesday, but he is a Packers legend. And yeah, we're very excited to be having him on the podcast coming up here. And once we know the date on that, we'll start spreading that like wildfire. But yeah, just letting everybody know we got a huge interview lined up. We're so excited for that. Super pumped. And yeah, we appreciate all the love and support, everyone. Have a great day. See you on Wednesday.